There was a time when PSG represented everything football fans loved to hate. Unlimited oil money, superstar signings, and endless Champions League disappointments. But football has a strange sense of humour, because today, the same club that spent years being a meme has become the benchmark. Back-to-back Champions League titles, one of the youngest elite squads in Europe, and a manager who completely changed the club's identity. The question isn't whether PSG finally made it. The question is whether the rest of Europe is ready for what's coming next. So how did Paris Saint-Germain pull it off? Let's take a deep dive. For more than a decade, Paris Saint-Germain was football's favourite punchline. Every summer, they spent hundreds of millions of euros. Every season, they assembled some of the biggest stars the sport had ever seen. And every spring, somehow, they found a new way to crash out of the UEFA Champions League. From Barcelona's remontada, Real Madrid's miracle nights, to Manchester United's comeback. If football fans needed evidence that money couldn't buy European glory, PSG was the right example. The joke became so common that PSG heritage turned into a meme across social media. Yet something strange happened after Kylian Mbappé left. Instead of collapsing, PSG became better. Much better. The club that spent years chasing superstar football suddenly stopped acting like a celebrity and started looking like an actual football team. Fast forward to today, PSG managed to win the Champions League back-to-back. The question is no longer whether PSG can win the Champions League, the question is whether anyone can stop them from winning it again and prevent a dynasty. The irony is almost comedic. PSG spent years building around Lionel Messi, Neymar, and Mbappé, only to discover their best version after those names were gone. When Luis Enrique arrived, he inherited a club obsessed with individual stars, and he chose to transform it into something entirely different. Instead of relying on global icons, he built a collective machine based on pressing, possession, and relentless movement. You don't run, you don't get played. The midfield trio of Vitinha, João Neves, and Fabian Ruiz became the engine room. Young players like Désiré Doué and Bradley Barcola emerged as genuine stars, rather than marketing assets. Ousmane Dembélé evolved from a player known for inconsistency and injury-prone into one of the best in the world. What made this transformation remarkable wasn't simply the results, it was the system-based approach. PSG finally looked like a team with an identity. Luis Enrique's greatest achievement may have been proving that football culture matters more than star power. Even Enrique himself repeatedly emphasized collective strength over individual awards and narratives. Every great football project has a defining moment. For PSG, that moment arrived in Munich on May 31, 2025. Facing Inter Milan in the Champions League final, PSG didn't just win. They produced one of the most dominant performances ever seen in a European final. The 5-0 scoreline became the largest winning margin in the history of a major European club final. The difference between attacking and defensive football, the difference in age, and the difference in quality of the players were very visible that night. Young sensation Désiré Doué scored twice and delivered an assist, announcing himself to the football world on the biggest stage possible. What made the victory even more significant was what it represented. PSG's first Champions League title finally ended more than a decade of frustration following Qatar Sports Investment's takeover in 2011. Reports estimated that billions had been invested chasing this dream. Yet, the breakthrough didn't arrive through another Galactico signing. It arrived through patience, tactical structure, youth development, and team chemistry. In Budapest, on May 30th, 2026, PSG successfully won back-to-back UCL champions by burying Arsenal's first UCL dream since the club was founded. That night was also the biggest hate-watch night in the world, where almost all the football club fans supported PSG. The phrase back-to-back sounds simple, but repeating success in modern football is incredibly difficult. Opponents study your weaknesses, players lose hunger, injuries happen, dynasties often collapse faster than they are built. Yet PSG appear better positioned than most champions to sustain success. Their squad remains relatively young and promising. Their tactical system is clearly defined. Their best performers are entering their prime rather than leaving it. Luis Enrique has openly stated that the club's ambition is to win the Champions League again, and PSG have continued adding trophies since their historic European triumph. They completed an extraordinary trophy haul that included Ligue 1, Coupe de France, Champions League, UEFA Super Cup, and FIFA Intercontinental honours. But there is another side to the story. Football history is filled with teams that looked unbeatable for one season before reality caught up. Manchester City won a treble but did not dominate Europe afterward. Liverpool's great side under Klopp won one Champions League despite multiple elite seasons. Real Madrid's dynasty was the exception, not the rule. PSG's challenge now isn't winning another trophy. It's proving that 2025 wasn't their peak, it was merely the beginning. They now start laying the foundation to build their European dynasty. The biggest lesson from PSG's rise has nothing to do with football tactics. It is a lesson about organizations, a robust system. For years, PSG believed the solution to failure was adding more talent, more stars, more money, more attention. Instead, success arrived when they simplified everything. The club moved from collecting celebrities to building a system. From marketing football to playing football. From chasing shortcuts to trusting a process. That shift transformed them from Europe's most expensive experiment into arguably the continent's most complete team. And perhaps that's why PSG's story resonates beyond football. In business, entertainment, sports, and even content creation, people often assume success comes from finding bigger names or spending more money. PSG accidentally discovered the opposite. The strongest teams are rarely the loudest ones. They are the ones where every piece works together. The joke that lasted more than a decade is over. Now the rest of Europe faces a different problem. The punchline had become the protagonist. So, what do you think? Is this PSG team the beginning of football's next great dynasty? Or are we watching a perfect season that will be impossible to repeat? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy football documentaries that go beyond the headlines and explore the bigger story behind the game, subscribe for more.